need to make sure. Oh, might help if I put the text to speech thing on. Wait, what? Why is it all black? Why is it black? I thought I had it set. Wait, okay, there we go. Don't know why I did that, but anyway, uh, just need to activate that, and we should be good now. And I should be live. Yep, I am. So please excuse the no webcam this time, but we're gonna start by literally creating a what I like to call template character. I already named it each part of the body, and we're gonna create five more of this. Wait, front. I'm just gonna name these as I go along, and then I'll just name this one back. And then just go here and just type in side. And one more here. And we're just going to name this one, well, back. All right. And now we have all these bodies, but I'm going to put it into a switch layer so that way I can work with each one individually. Okay, it's already set to 4. And I have already created a line. I thought I did. Hmm, weird. Okay, well, let's just hide that for now. I always like to add a grid, if you will. So I actually have something to go off of. So for some reason there's a bug here. I hit that, which should weld these two together, but for some reason it does not work. Why it does not work, I don't know, but I can at least do this. So now we have a grid so I can work with. So now I just need to adjust the character model that I created in a, another program. Let me just boot up Steam so you can see what program I used. And this is the program I use. Basically, I use it to get them into certain poses and stuff. But to make an animated character, I usually use this 5 thing. You could try better or not. Since I'm here, I might just try installing FaceRig. Yeah, accept that. And then I'll just put that over here for now so I can work on this. Now, another thing, I want to put the bones in specific spots. So you could either eyeball it, or what I do is a lot easier. I'm just going to call this one balls because we're going to like literally put targets here. Again, we're going to go into the center part and hit the circle. There we go. And then we just can hide that for now. And there we go. And unpeel that. And then highlight it. For some reason, the space bar just starts the timeline, and that's not how it usually works. Okay, so there we have the target, and I'm just gonna shrink that down until it's thin enough. We want to make sure it's like thin enough there. I'm making 5 different ones so I can work with, but we're gonna go with the first one. You can feel free to like change the color if you want, but for me, I'm gonna first start by placing. Okay, first we gotta turn off the grid. So I'm gonna style this up slightly and place that right there. Now here's where it gets interesting. So you can literally show differences. You can literally can add this one and I can actually change the color. Well, definitely not red because that would blend in too much to the reference image. We're gonna go with, and you want to make sure you hit the right thing. Okay, so I just got a notification that Base Rig is now ready. Oh, it's finished downloading, but now it is installing. So that's gonna take a while. So eventually I will, well, honestly, I don't think I'll be putting that up there anytime soon. So we're gonna shrink that down now. And there we go. And we have a easy way of telling the difference. And we're gonna create another thing, target. This one you want to make sure is like in the middle of the chest before shrinking it down. I almost forgot, I forgot to add the point, name the file that says neck into this area right here. So I'll definitely take care of that later. We're just first adding the bones, the style. We're basically going to be just working on this body. Then we're going to hopefully move over to the sides. And then hopefully I can move over to the heads as well. I usually like having it in two separate files. Basically, the head is a separate file, so if I want to, I could take the head and stick it on a different outfit or whatnot. So that's what I like to do. Now, I'm gonna add some bone targets to the shoulders. I really recommend you literally changing each one of these things colors because if they were all black, they would just blend into each other and make it really difficult to spot. And I think that's pretty good. I'm also gonna add one over here. So I have a place where to put the neck. And again, I'm gonna change that to a blue. And we're gonna make another one. And maybe, you know what? Let's first shrink this down because I feel like that's a little too big. And now bring, oh, okay, you gotta make sure you select all the points or else it doesn't work as good. So bring it up to here. It really doesn't matter how long the neck is, you're not gonna see it, but I feel like that's the perfect distance for it. Okay, so I'm just gonna now finish with the laying out of the frames. Now, considering the arms are separate from the body, you can literally go ahead and not bother changing the color because you're pretty much good here. As you can clearly see, it's not overlapping at all. And these things will serve a double purpose. Not only will they literally help you discovering where to place said bones when it comes to adding the bones, but it also will help you in setting up. Now, as for the hands, I usually use the default set hands that come with the character wizard. So we don't have to worry about that for now. But what today now we're just busy creating the body. So Control C to copy that, and then Control V to duplicate it, and then oh, again I messed that up. Okay, let's try that again. This time let's make sure to circle all of the points and make sure not to leave a single one there. Control C, Control V, and then flip and drag that over to here, and we're good. Now I'm going to show you why these things serve a double purpose. Because if you take the two circles like so and just copy them and then bring those into said body, let me stress that out. Now you gotta need to think. Okay, you're gonna have to rename this because these three are going to be front and back arms and legs. So with the front, you're going to have to rename it. Now, this is the part where you need to really think. Is that the left side or the right side? For me, I feel like that's the left side. So we're going to rename this to, well, left. And we're going to do the same thing for the forearm. Just rename it left. Okay. And then Control V. And now we have these points in there. But it's not much of an arm, is it? Now, for simplest, I'm gonna make it like a gold color so you can see the difference. I mean, I could just use the eyedropper tool right here and grab that. I might do that just so you can see. And we go over to here. We want to go to this one, which will allow us to add more points. And I feel like 3 is good. And right here, okay, I feel like I should make that only 2 extra points. So let's try that again. And just 2. And yeah, that feels a lot better. What you want to do now is delete the field on those 2 things. And now you use the delete function and delete the points you don't want. Now here you gotta be very careful because if you mess this up, it will throw you back a lot. Okay, I think that's good. Let's first hide those points so you guys can actually see what I'm doing. Okay, so you can add more points. I'm just going to add one more to here and drag it over to there. I want auto fill on. Okay, and then just do that. Then grab this and boom. It is now colored. I think we put this back on. Yeah, you can't see it unless I put it above it. Now we're gonna go with the bottom one, and we're basically gonna do the same thing. So grab the two arm pieces. We'll work on the bottom part of the body too. We're just working on the upper body right now. But it's basically the same principle for all of it. So, oops. Oh dear, I messed that up. That should be up here. That's no problem though. We just, and boom, fixed. And now, again, we just copy and ladder, rinse, repeat. We just keep duplicating it over and over again until we get to what we like. Now, here we go. Again. Okay, so this one is a little difficult because it's got like that bulge out there, so there's a little trick around that. So, at least as far as I know, we can like maneuver the points so it actually fills in those things. I simply just doing that and that. We're basically making it fill in the area, and that looks good. And then we color it in, and that looks pretty good. That looks really good. My original one, I had like a lot of points. I mean, like a lot of points. With this, it actually makes it a lot easier because with a certain bone structure, you can actually make it look way better than you can. But we're just gonna be making it, and I'll fine tune it probably off screen. But we're basically just working on the body, and it's basically gonna be the same principle for all of these. So let's start with the let's finish the adding bones to here. So I'm gonna do the bottom half, and I think I'm gonna go with mm, dark purple, and we're just going to copy this one, copy it, drag it over to the leg, and just like before, you want to shrink it down. Now this is the difficult part because you really can't tell exactly where it should be joined at the point. So I think that's about good. But again, like I said, you have to eyeball it. And this is pretty much the same as the upper body. Control C, Control V, then place it where you think the knee would be. And I feel like it would be right here. Okay. And then just copy and paste, bring that down there, and then shrink that down to a nice size. And there we go. It's okay if the field is a little big. We can fine tune that later. We're just making the rough body structure right now. Control C, Control V, flip it, and oh my goodness, I did it again. Yeah, you really got to be careful. You got to make sure you collect them all the points, or it like literally messes you up, and you have to try it again. I think that's about accurate. It's okay if this is a little off because we could fix that by just when we go down to making the feet. which is what I'll do right now. So let's just copy the foot, just the outer line of the circle, and we just have to pick which one. So we'll just make this one the left foot. So rename that to left foot and then copy that. And basically we can like use this to make toes as well. But right here, at this point, we need to hide it because that would make it easier. You want to make sure you shrink it down and try to blend it in as best you can. And then copy and paste, make it a little smaller. We'll add more points later. We're just making the rough outline of it right now. And then we can make it even better than before. So there we go. And the last one, it's kind of looks weird because of the image, but hey, I could take care of that. Let's just ignore that part and just go from here to here, and that should fix it. So now highlight all of them and add more points. Boom. Now, you want to make sure you delete the points you want to delete. And I'm gonna try this best. I know that this one is not connected, but again, we are just going to try to make this the best I can. Bring that here. Okay, and then, okay, looks like I messed up with this code. I could fix that though by just adding a few extra points there. Now, the thing is, once we connect this to here, then the freaking thing will see it as one solid point. And then it will like really mess us up. So don't connect them until you are sure that everything is good. So with this toe, seeing that it's not very well centered, I'm just gonna move that a little bit. Okay, click away from there. Connect these points right there. Okay, to move that point. And there we go. Now, let me show you what happens if you try to delete a point at this point. Please excuse the pun. Okay, well, that's not what I meant. Basically, all right, that looks good. Now, watch what happens if I try to just delete this section of toe. First one's fine, but you see, it deletes almost all of it. So you don't want to do that. So make sure the foot is set to the way you want it to look before connecting all the points. Big thing to do. Okay, highlight that. And boom. Now I'll just copy that and now go to here and I'm gonna realize I messed up again. No problem. Bring that toe over there. Rename this to right toe. Now we're all good there. So, like I said, now remember how that looks and try to blend that in as well there. Okay, and now we move on to the legs, or at least one of them. But the toes look pretty cool. I mean, granted, I didn't don't like toes, but I like to be accurate when I'm tracing an image. Okay, where's that? There it is. Okay, I think we're gonna go with the upper leg next. So again, we grab the points, making sure to grab the middle in there, already copied. Let's see, set that to left. Boom, done. Trace. Okay, didn't need to bring those in. And trace. Boom. And now again, delete the points we don't want. And add the points we do want. And then again, seeing that that one looks pretty good. So we'll just work on that one. All right. Not exactly good, but it's good enough. I like that. And then we'll just copy and paste that over to the right side. This needs to be renamed and flip and drag it over, making sure you hold the shift button so it stays even. Because if you don't, you'll be moving it all over the place. And that's not what we want. So always when you're sliding something over vertically or horizontally, always hold the shift button. Okay, and I got to do the other arm and the body, but so far it's looking good. Okay, just need to grab these 2 points now, making sure you grab the edge of it, grab the edge of it. It's annoying sometimes because it selects more than the points that you want to use. Okay, and rename that to left. I just noticed it's pretty far away. Okay, boom. All right, you pretty much can understand the point that we have to do here. It's pretty mundane, but it works out pretty well. The character is coming along, or rather, the body is. And I just realized I clicked on the wrong thing. All right, I think that hides the points, not delete them. The previous thing I later clicked on. Go. Hmm. My leg looks good as is. I don't think I need to change anything. Yeah, that leg looks good. Now move over to the right bottom leg. And again, just flip it and then try to mash it up as best you can. I think that's pretty good. I should add the bones now so you guys can see how it moves. I'll name them later. I always like to name the bones, but for the point being, we're just gonna add the bones here. Okay, this is where the first bone, which will be attached to these ones. Now I'm gonna just click this so that unselects that, so the next bone I lay will not be attached to it. And now we're just adding the points to where I set these up. Okay, I messed up here. That's no problem. All right, let's hide this so I can just focus on this, and I'm gonna place it right there. And I can see right now that the neck one isn't centered, so I have to move those over a bit. Copy and paste that bone so I can move that up. That's gonna be the head bone. In fact, I'm just gonna name that now. In fact, it's easier to name them now than go back and having to name each individual bone once you're done. So I'm just gonna name this neck, and I forgot to add the literal. That's gonna be two bodies, the lower body and the upper body, and this is gonna be the neck of the body. I'm already gonna assign this to here. We're gonna need to assign all of the points to the bones. So let's go back to this body where I get the names for the fed bones and just bring them there, go into here. Okay. Once you put it in here, you don't need to save anything. So we're just going to add it to, all right. And this little thing is called the pelvis. So we're going to give her a pelvis too. Basically, it's so we can make her, if we add the bones into the right way, she can like wiggle her hips if we wanted to. Okay, so we have all the main bones. Now, if we highlight them and show bones, let me just hide that. You can now see that each one of the bones is named. It's subtle, but it does showcase the bones' names if you click this. But you can barely tell, probably even if you're watching it on screen, you can barely tell that. So now let's go down. Let's finish the body. And it's like I said, it's the same process. So we just need to find two circles. Basically, grab these and bring them down to the abdomen. Highlight that. And again, add more points. And now we decide where we want to delete the bones we don't need. Okay, so for me, this one here and these right here. Now I'm just gonna do this, and that will remove any sharp edges. So when I connect these, it will look more even. Again, delete. It still have like the files right there, right? And now I believe I already assigned that. So, oh, well, you see what happens when you don't have the bones assigned? Which, well, basically, when you don't have the layer selected, where basically we are mapping this bone to this layer. So when you move it, it moves just that part, but the legs are still not attached. So you see what happens there. Let's finish this off with the rest of the body. And again, this is the same principle for all the other things. I'm also going to, if you wanted to, you can not add a certain object, which is called a masking. It's, there's basically, well, actually, it's called a patch, but I like to call it a mask because that's basically what it is. It's masking the scenes of the character to make it seem seamless. Okay, so right here, we're going to delete these bones here and right to here. Again, move it out, make sure it's selected, and then drag and boom. And now I'm just gonna end that. Boom. Let's see how that looks. Not bad. Okay, this leg, what we're gonna do now is move this leg behind those. And as for the other arm, I'm just gonna bring that up here. So the arms are above the torso and neck, which I should do next. I should do the other arm too, because then we pretty much almost done. I just have to finish adding the bones. Okay, not that one. Here we go. So just grab these. You know, I think it's worth getting that little point in the middle, just so you don't have to deal with that all the time. And there we go. Boom. This one I'm not okay. You always want to have the picture activated so you know exactly where to delete said points, or else it's just a guessing game. Think right here, there. All right, that looks good. And now I just add that and that. Wait, bottom arm. So we just need one more arm and we're pretty much. Oh wait, we still need to do the neck. I'm keep jumping the gun. Okay, so time for the lower arm. And I just realized I forgot to name this file. Okay, so that would be the right arm. There we go. So now we just need one more arm. And like I said, it's the same procedure for all the other sides. Just lather, rinse, and repeat. And that's basically how I create a blank body or a nobody. And just for the record, I came out with that before Kingdom Hearts was even a thing. So yeah, there we go. Make sure that's and boom. Okay, that looks good. Now we just need the neck. So let's just grab these 2 points. I guess if you wanted to give it that mannequin vibe, you got it. You literally would have it if you just don't bother adding any. Now I can even pose as a doll form, like somebody just took off a doll's clothes. So yeah, that can also double as that, and it will be okay. I keep saying that. I'm sorry. So now we just let's go to the neck, and since we already have it pretty much centered, okay, you want to make sure this thing is always clicked, or else it hides the points. It makes it a lot more difficult to create a new character, or in this case, a nobody. Now, the reason why I call it a nobody is until I turn it into a character, it's literally no one. So that's why I call it a nobody. So there we go. And just remove these colors and colorize it. And now I just have to add the bones to the legs and then assign them, and we'll be done. Okay. So when you want them to be branching out, you want to make sure you hit the torso bone first. So that way, when you lay the bones for the arms, and I have it selected to the one. This thing does add the bones if you want, but I wouldn't recommend it. As you can clearly see, it's not very even. I mean, that's perfect for like at making a tail or something, but for making a body type, you definitely want to click on this one. So with that said, oh, looks like it got unselected. So you want to even if you didn't select it, you can always attach it later. And since I'm not doing the hands at all, you can avoid this, but I'm gonna do it anyway. And you can literally copy the bones as too, the same as the body. Just Control C and Control V, and drag, drag them over to here, making sure that they're centered or as close to center as you possibly can. It's okay if it's a little off, but you just don't want it to be completely off. There we go. All right. Now, an easy way to name these bones is to go double click on this. This pops up this window. And then you go over to here, which will allows you to select any bone you want. I'm going to select this. Then I'm going to highlight that, copy, and paste. And while I'm here, I'm also going to map this layer to there. So when I move, as you could clearly see, the arm literally moves with the bone. We're going to do the same thing for the upper left arm now. Highlight that, copy, paste, and assign. Now the arm will move completely with that. Let's move on to the torso. As you clearly see, when we move the body, the neck doesn't move because that's assigned to this bone. Oh, but I can see the head bone is not assigned to this. So let's head back to here, highlight that, and you see this one right here? Click on that, and that allows us to attach it to any bone we want, but we want the head bone to be attached to the neck bone. So now, for the sake of this thing, I'm just going to make a circle. So, and I'm just going to name it head. So, and just make a circle so you can see how it works when I signed it. Anybody else get Poppy Playtime? No, not Poppy Playtime. Digital Circus with this form? I don't know. Basically, we're just assigning the bones to where we want them to be assigned. And once we're done with that, the body works much better. Now let's just make sure I have all the bones. Before we move on to the legs, let's make sure I have the bones select made or named. Yeah, looks like it. The hand bones are not named, so I'm gonna have to do that by hand. There we go. And I think that's it. Yep, all the bones are selected. So let's head back here. And now we're going to be working on the leg bones. Same process with the arms. Just going to work on one leg and then, okay. And then we're just going to copy and paste this leg bone over to the next leg. And again, just adjust it so it fits. And just how we, now this one is already attached to the pelvis bone right there. So what we want to here, I already have this selected, and we just want to go to there. And now the final stretch. Again, this is the same process for all the other body types, but we just need to go to the foot, assign it. I like that. Boom, 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 and boom. Okay, that's one leg down. Move on to the next one. Why is that bone like that? How did that happen? Yeah, it must have been a bug. Or maybe I just did something wrong. Okay. Boom and boom. So with that done, this body should be completely rigged now. Let's see. Yep. Oh, I forgot to attach that bone to there. Oh, I forgot the rocker. Okay, but first let's attach this bone to there and then get out of there and just add the rocker by just doing that. And where is it? Ah, there we go. Right. And to make sure this thing works on this and this, you want to highlight these, and we're just basically gonna make this the parent bone. So when we move this one, the whole body will move. And boom. So now, if we move this bone, it moves the entire body. The arms work, the head, the legs, and that's pretty much how you make a body. Now, I told you about a little thing called masking, so I'm going to show you that now. We're going to go here, go over to here, go to patch, and then you just decide where you want it in the patch from. We're going to go with the left forearm. Now it always goes right there to the center. What you want to do is just drag it over there. Shrink it down. Again, if you want to go with a mannequin, you don't need to do this process. But if you want it to be a full body with no seams literally being seen, this is what you would have to do. You basically would have to do that for every part that's literally joined. Basically, you have to make sure you select the one. Like torso, you have to use the patch and set it to abdomen. So that way it like makes the bottom layer show over the top layer. And you would have to adjust it for each angle. There we go. And you have to do that for the shoulders too. But I can see right now that the shoulders on this is not showing all the way up there. That's no problem. We're just gonna do a little bit of fine tuning. We're just gonna lift that and just shrink that down to there. And of course it doesn't look good, but that's just because we haven't added all. Okay, I'm just gonna reuse this one to hide all of these. What we're gonna do is just take it, I already duplicated it, put it over here, and let's make it so it covers all of these, okay? Now, it might work better if you have one patch for each of them, but for the sake of this experiment, again, you gotta attach it to body, and we're just gonna hit torso, and in theory, it should hide all of those. Yep. Okay, like I said, it's not exactly perfect, but it's good enough for now. And I'm gonna make another one and bring that over to here. All right. And that's pretty much it. That's how you make a body. Now with this one, basically this is just gonna be the hair that I'm gonna be tracing around it. I already created this thing called a no head, which basically has in it front, hair. I forgot to put the word hair. There we go. Ears, which doesn't make any sense because you don't see it, but she could have cat ears or something like that. Nose, which you really can't see, even if I hide this. It's just that one little line. Honestly, now that I think of it, how does that count as a nose? So I put a little bit more detail and actually give them more features as a nose. So let's start with the head. Put this back on, and I just trace one side. Once I have it perfectly even, then I just hit the, copy C thing. And this will be the same thing with the hair as well. Now, why I make it a separate file, you might ask. Well, the simple thing is, say like I have multiple characters outfits, and I want them to like change their outfits. If I did not, okay, I do not have auto weld on. You always should have that on, except for when points overlap and you don't want them to. But for me, I always leave it on. And there we have the literal head. Now we're just gonna work on the hair. As for the back, I'm just gonna trace this. There's a line right here, but I'm gonna go by eye. We're just gonna trace the hair and just try to make it as best I can. Another thing is you want to change, if you made it all in one layer, that would make it a little bit more difficult to change the color of the hair when you wanted to. Of course, other people might make have an easier way of doing it, but this is how I do it. Because if you have it in multiple layers, then you have multiple ways of morphing it, changing it, making it different, making it new, making it unique. So yeah, and there. Again, copy, Control C, and boom. Ah, not exactly perfect, but close enough. Now right here, it's going to sharpen the edge of the points. And there we go. Hmm. And I'm just gonna copy the hair color and just use the fill tool. Boom. Oh, oh, you see that? That's an issue that sometimes it has. How I get over that is well, I make the points for the hair longer. in sometimes just one or two. Ooh. Oh, wait a minute. I think I know what's going on. Yeah. You see this? Yeah, that's the problem I'm having right there. Just add an extra point there, and that will see that it it basically makes it a okay. So that's not joined, and now they all work. So meaning I probably don't need those lines at all. So let's just remove those and try again. Boom. So whenever you have an issue like that, always check to see if you have like an area that's like joined like right here and add an extra little point right there, and that usually fixes the problem. Sometimes it's a little more difficult than that, but if you're lucky, it's just that. Okay, that's good. And now let's move on to the nose. Again, not much to work with, so I'm just going to make a slight. There we go. Okay, let's make that a little smaller. Yeah, that looks a little cuter. Maybe bring that in a little bit. Oh yeah, that's the issue. Usually I like using the space bar to fill in, but for some reason it doesn't seem to work. Why? I don't know. Maybe there's something I need to change in the settings, but I'm not gonna mess with them. And there we go. And now just I like that. And we're basically gonna do that for all the hairstyles. So let's see. And boom. Gotta make sure that's even. It looks like there's a little strand right here that goes like right there. So I'm gonna make it a little bit longer, which would make it a lot easier for me. Slight changes in the image makes it unique. Feel free to make like differences in it so it's not the same. Like with the body, you can like add a tail or something. I just showed you how to make the literal base of it, just like I'm doing here with the hair. I'm just doing this so I actually have a reference. So like if I make a character that has short hair, I already have the base so I don't have to build it again. Here we go. And let's just now run make sure. Okay, there's several points. Oh, and here's another thing. If it's overlapping like this, that will cause some issues. So you want to make sure you sharpen that edge as much as you can. I'm going to do the same thing for these as well to make it a little bit better. We're just going to start right here. Okay, drag that. We'll have to sharpen that end piece because that will cause some issues if we don't. So if we wanted to make like a human eyes version of Anka from Animal Crossing, I say this hairstyle is the best way. Granted, you would have to add some features to it and just put that down there. Just adding more points as I go along. So, what have you guys been up to? You have any ideas for animations you want to see? There we go. And now sharpen the edges again. And I think we're good here. You know what comes next. Control C, Control V, and I forgot to highlight them all. Control A, which selects all the points. Then flip, bring that over, making sure it's close to the original, and it might be a little overlapping. Oh, okay, that's good. Whenever it's like that's rare for me. When it like really wait, oh, you gotta be kidding me. I forgot to finish it the top part off. Really? I guess I just focused on the area. That was a shame. This is gonna ruin it though. That one's not gonna match up perfectly. Bring that right there. Okay, it's a little off, but as long as the center point are matching, I'll be happy. And it looks like I have to add an extra point right here. Now the big challenge. Hmm, that's never a good sign. Yep, okay. So I'm gonna have to add some extra points so I can isolate the problem. So let's see if I cannot isolate the problem. Okay, so it's not here or there. So it's probably something here. Hmm, don't see an issue here, except for the points I forgot to sharpen. Hmm. Well, maybe it's just one of those things where I literally have to add an extra point to make it work. Yep. Wait, what the? Okay. Another thing is, if it's too far away, it will overlap like that. So now, there we go. Hmm. There we have the hair, and I see that works out pretty well. So that's pretty much how I make a character from beginning to scratch. I have some pre-made eyes, but again, this is just supposed to be just the hair. I'm planning on doing all the other four sides. Here's something you should know. You can literally add more things to it. For example, I'm just gonna add another one and just call it, well, I'm just gonna let you discover what it's supposed to be because I'm just gonna add. Okay, put this on the top, and I'm just gonna add two circles. Take them like that, and hide that, and ugh, that kind of doesn't make. Maybe shrinking it down, or maybe stretching it out a bit. Okay, so sometimes it might not work out. Maybe if I smooth the edges out. Yeah, that still doesn't look right to me. But you get the point. You can keep adding more and more accessories to make it unique. Sorry about this one being so short, but let me just add one more thing. Okay, let me just open up my files. I like literally tested it to see if you guys could hear me. I guess you could consider this a test one of it. So let's go into the file where I have this made and take it forever to load. Okay, and I'm just gonna double click it and it should pop up on the screen in theory. Boom. Can you guess what that is? Anyway, I'm gonna be making a lot more products, but I just wanted to show you my procedure on creating a character. So yeah, again, like I said, I use an image and I specifically try to look for an image that has these five angles. Now this one is unique because I literally made it myself by, if I go into Steam and load this thing, I can literally pose the character in different procedures and whatnot. Don't know why that's there, but basically we're just gonna just do this and just gonna like that, and I'm just gonna literally take the same character I made, drag her over to here. If it ever, oh my goodness, it froze. But you, okay, good. Now I'm just gonna make it full screen. I've had an angle, then we can like pose her. Maybe we're gonna go with action. Here we go. I can have her like that, and then like move her, so I can make it look like she's like literally punching someone in the gut. Let's drag in another character so I can show you what I mean. And again, full screen, and make that right there. Okay, we want to place top one beneath her. Okay, and now let's shrink her down. No, not that. The character. All right. there. So right here. And now I just decide what, let's see, I want to pick a pose that like Lily shows are getting punched. Yeah, here we go. Here we go. And we can, if Mike go, and I'm just gonna try and place it like that. And there we go. We have literally one character punching another character in the stomach. Then I can like save that and bring it into MoHo and then use this as a reference and make it like my character Edge. Of course, I would use a male character at that point, but right now, as you can see, I only have females right now. But yeah, okay, I can, and if I hold a certain button, I can zoom in to get a better look and maybe adjust it like that. Or I can make it even darker and saying that she is pregnant and she doesn't want her to have the baby. So yeah, you can pretty much fill in the blanks there. But anyway, that's why I like this program a lot. Anyway, I have no intention of doing anything like that. But I'm done. I hope you enjoyed this. Uh, sorry it wasn't exactly the same, but I just wanted to show you my process making a base model character to work off of. If you enjoyed this, make sure to hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and share this video with your friends. Do remember, if you're new here, I live stream every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday around 3 p.m. So until the next one,